I'll go back to what I just said there. An object starts at a position of -6 and ends up at a position of +10. Calculate its displacement during the trip. So displacement is really final position minus initial position. Yeah, right? Line up your equal signs. What's the final position? The 10 ends up, right? You got to do some sort of reading. So 10 subtract, and I purposely did this, 10 subtract -6, which is +16. No. Like, pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
We have to show our work.
Remember when we went through all the good things?
Okay, this time here, object moves, so we're going to the next step. Object moves from a position of +10 to a position of -13 in 7 seconds. So now we're going to find the displacement and the average velocity. So displacement again, delta D, final minus initial. Is it a good idea that I'm not going to insist on you writing the formula, but you're going to find yourself that it's just better. Okay? You don't have to take the corners of the wall or the ceiling when you paint, but you'll find from experience that it's just what you got to do. Maybe that's a bad analogy for you guys because you've maybe never done that. The final position here is -13. The initial position is +10, but it's still subtract, isn't it? -23, right? And now the average velocity, part B, okay, left to right, d over t, delta d over delta t, I guess, if you want. So that's going to be -23. The time is 7 seconds. It's going to be about 3.2?
Well, do you want us to round to the nearest tenth, or do you want us to just...
Probably the nearest tenth.
Then it's
3.3?
We're good.
Oh yeah, -3.3. And that would be meters per second, right? Not hard. Not hard. Certainly not hard compared to those problems you saw yesterday, right?
I don't want to...
You saw those grade 12 ones yesterday, right?
Oh, those questions yesterday you showed us weren't even questions we'd be doing?
No, those are grade 12.
Oh.
What are?
Well, I was getting all ready to class.
Yeah?
What to do those big questions.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Find the time required to travel 150 kilometers at a rate of 80 kilometers per hour. So this is my distance. This is my velocity. Right?
It'd be an hour and something.
V equals d over t. Now, you have to keep, units are important. You got to look at the units and see if they're sort of like matching. This is kilometers. This is kilometers per hour. So as long as those are matching, you're okay, right? If one of these was, like if this was meters per second, then you'd have to do some conversion, right? And we'll get there, but today it's just going to be simple stuff. So displacement, 150, but we know the 80, right? So, and we went through this yesterday. How do you solve it when the t, right? Do the old switcheroo. Yeah, Emily's got it. And she's dancing back there. 150 over 80, which is a little less than 2. What is it, right? 1.875. So we'll go 1.9, and that would be in hours. Hours. It's time. Hours. Now, if you had to convert that to minutes, how would you do that? It doesn't ask for it, but how would you do it? Times by 60.
And that gives you minutes.
That would give you minutes, right? So that would be like 115 minutes, something like that. Riley? 100 and what?
114.
114? Yes, I know. I'm a bit of a wizard.
So we don't even have to do the word play, you can just do the quiz.
Yeah, people are going to come for 2 hours just listen to me do math.
Here's the real wizard,
Boring.
guys.
I'm not.
I could be the voice of the wizard, you know,
Oh my
from in
God,
behind the curtain.
Let's do it. I'll get a petition.
Petition. We don't even.
You know I was...
The reason I bring it up is because I think
Okay, as you can see, the questions are getting
Harder.
Harder and harder, bigger and bigger. A ball rolls down a hill with uniform acceleration, so that means that there is an A value. It starts from rest. What does that tell you? The initial velocity is 0. The initial velocity is 0, Talia. VI.
Oh, goodness.
And rolls 28 meters, so my distance is 28. My time is 4 seconds. Find the average velocity, find the final velocity, and find the acceleration.
We have 3.
So we're looking for V bar, we're looking for VF, and then we're looking for A. Right? Okay. What formula has V bar, D, and T in it? I wonder.
Oh.
V bar equals D over T. D is 28, time is 4. V bar is 7 meters per second. I'll pause for a second. The average is 7. Now remember that whole bit in that acceleration graph, right? You know, initial is this, the initial is 0, and the average is 7. What do you have to end up at to get an average of 7? 14. Because V bar is equal to VI plus VF over 2. 7 is in the middle. When you find averages, you add them up and divide by how many there are. Right? That's a good question, though. Where does the 2 come from? When you take averages, if you got 4 tests, you add them up and divide by 4.
So why on everything else do you put initial or the final and then take away the initial, but here you're adding?
Because I'm doing this, you're doing change in velocity there, right? I'm going to get to that one. Let me finish this, and then I'll ask you if you still have that question. Okay, so the average is 7. What's the initial? 0 plus VF over 2. Now, how do you solve that? Well, the 0 plus VF is really just VF. Do you need to show all this work? No, I'm just showing you. So it's really just VF over 2, right? How do you solve that? Multiply both sides by 2. So your VF is 14. Is it okay if I write it sort of in reverse order? I write the VF on the left. Is that okay?
If I can on the other side, is that
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to write 14 equals VF, you go right ahead. I know. That's why I usually write it that way. I mean, most of you should be able to say, oh yeah, multiplying both sides by 2, that's 14, and then you just write it, right? Grade 11 physics, you guys, you got to be able to handle it. You got it. Okay, so now the acceleration. Now, acceleration is, this is going to be a 2-step. It's going to be a country's version. Thank you. Here all week. Acceleration is, don't write this down. Don't write this down. Acceleration is delta V over delta T. Delta V, meaning change in velocity. Are any of these the change in velocity? No, I need to figure that out first. Change in, that's why I told you not to write down. Delta V is final minus initial, right? What's the final? 14. What's the initial? Oh, so the delta V is simply 14. You can write that down. It's all meters per second, yeah. Now, I'll pause for a second. Is the delta V always equal to the VF? Why not? Because you don't always start at 0. Do you start at 0 a lot? Yes. So like about, 75, 80% of the time, delta V and VF are the same, but not always. They're only the same when the initial is 0.
So when it's 0, we can just put 14 for both.
Yes, you could probably just go, if you know that it's 0, I'll probably allow you just to go delta V equals 14, right? Like, what I'm saying is you don't have to show this if you know the VI is 0. Everybody knows when you subtract 0, nothing changes. Okay, now I got to do this step, right? So A is equal to delta V, which is my 14. My time was 4 seconds, so my acceleration is 14 divided by 4, which is 3.5 meters per second squared. It's not too bad. I understand. I have to remind myself that this is sort of your first kind of multi-step kind of problem here. So you would expect to see 1, 2, 3, 4 marks there.
So are we gonna get practice on these?
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. It will be like 4
Tim Chuck's class.
What?
45. Yeah.
What would you give 4 marks for?
Every
Like one for the divide by sign?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's inserting it into the formula correctly.
Yeah, you will get a mark for putting in the formula right, and then you get a mark for using the
That's
right
stupid.
formula.
I got every question correct on one of my
The right answer.
pre-cal tests, and I still got an 86 for not showing something.
Oh well.
Now I missed him.
Let me ask you this. Let's move on so we can get some time to work. An object, do you want to try this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
You guys try this one. What, didn't I do that before? Didn't I give you the...
There's way more steps for that one.
Okay, so finding... Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. This one's way too easy.
I agree.
I
This
don't.
is how this question be on the test. Now you can't use it.
This is day 1 of the beginner stuff. Final is 12, initial is 1, so the delta V is 11.
Yes.
A equals delta V over delta T.
Which equals 11 divided
11 divided by 3 is 3.7. Exactly. See, you guys are fine.
Oh, I did the 6 with the results.
Sure. Okay.